It's our mission here at Wexner Heritage Village to provide excellent spiritual care for any person that needs it. We were preparing for Pesach. We live in the moment each and every day, and we want to bring the festivals and the joy to somebody's life and not cancel anything. And so what we did was we put these amazing Passover kits together. We had a mini Seder plate with all the symbols. I wrote everybody a heartfelt note for Passover, and we supplied everything a person would need. We delivered every single thing to a person's apartment or living space. Judaism especially is a faith of community. We gather together for celebrations and mourning. I had to change my whole entire mindset of how to reach people. So I did it the old-fashioned way. I picked up the telephone and I called every single member at Creekside, Cottage, Heritage House. I wanted to make sure our residents knew that I cared, that I was checking in on them, and I'm tremendously proud of our community and my work coordinating all of these human touches, because that compassionate touch makes a human being feel hopeful, that they're not alone, and this was so essential during the pandemic.
Welcome, everybody, to the 2020 annual meeting From Strength to Strength for Wexner Heritage Village. I am Rabbi Debbie Lefton, the Director of Spiritual Care. There is a story from tradition about a king and his son. They had a journey and they had to travel a very long way, and the prince was a spoiled child. Their traveling got hard and the prince was tired and thirsty. He begged his dad, the king, to stop for water and for a good night's rest. The king thought, how can I stop for my son when all of our people are hungry, tired, and thirsty? So they continued on their journey with their people, working together every step of the way, building wells to drink and set up camps to sleep. In the end, the prince was forever changed. He transformed into the future king he would be. During 2020, Wexner Heritage Village transformed. We look through the lens differently as we served during COVID and continue to serve, looking into the future as our seniors remind us of the beauty and vulnerability of being human. This historic annual report represents the transformation, the beauty and vulnerability, the sacred honor to serve our senior community during the good days and times of crisis. Hashkivenu Adonai Elohecha v'nashuva. Help us return to you, and we shall return. Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem. Renew our lives as in days of old. It is my honor to introduce our president and Chief Operating Officer of Wexner Heritage Village, Mr. Chris Christian.
Thank you, Rabbi. Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Today, I have the privilege to speak about the past year at Wexner Heritage Village and what a year it's been. We began the year with great momentum and one of the strongest quarters in our recent history, which was a good thing because no one expected a 100-year global pandemic to hit our community in March. Being a senior healthcare provider, we felt a tremendous responsibility to our mission and those we serve. We made preparations early so that we were ready to shut down and protect our community and hopefully preempt what we were all witnessing on the West Coast. Many of you have followed our journey through the pandemic and our successes. But today, I'd like to share some of the stories that you've not gotten to hear. Stories of selfless actions of the staff of Wexner Heritage Village during the most challenging circumstances in our organization's history. While facing significant personal danger, the team at WHV nobly rose to accept the risks in service to the most vulnerable in our community. True to the values of our organization, each of you who served have earned the heartfelt gratitude of our board, leadership, families, and community. Thank you to each of you. It is my pleasure today to introduce some of the WHV team members I just mentioned so that we can hear from them about their stories of 2020 in their own words. On March 11th, I think it was surreal for everyone. We had to stop all visitation, stop open access to the facility. And it meant also that in conjunction with that, we had to communicate in a much better way with families to be their eyes and ears. I think all of us were afraid. We were afraid for our families. And that's one thing I thought a lot about.
From the day that we shut down for visitors began a year-long concern about everything.
The socialization and the groups completely went away. My outings went away. Our dinners out went away. Eating in the dining room went away. Everything that we were accustomed to and took for granted, I think, absolutely just disappeared overnight.
I was blown away. I didn't think anything like this could happen, but I put my shoes on and I began to do everything we needed to do to make sure our residents were safe and well taken care of.
There is no playbook. What do we do? What are the best uses of PPE? What are the ways to structure your organization in the neighborhoods where people live and reside? What about their mental well-being? We called every family member. The leadership team called everyone personally, talked about what we were going to do. 100% of the families were supportive of the efforts we were undertaking. We very early on started a town hall meeting, and we opened the floor up for any team member to ask any question they wanted to ask, from pay to cases to protection, because we were asking a lot of the team at that time. We asked them questions about their personal life and where they were and what they've done. Everyone is very much an open book and talking about what they did and didn't do. We've spent over $750,000 in personal protective equipment, and we continue to maintain par levels, of course, because we've yet to emerge completely from the pandemic.
It changed my job completely. My biggest challenges were getting PPE, finding PPE. We were networking big time, calling different vendors, asking them where we could even go, getting with the Jewish community and having them actually help us as well.
The activities directors took on a very special role with families.
We had to learn new ways of doing activities and more creative ways to keep spirits high.
We had to create something for the residents so they can see their loved ones and still communicate with their loved ones.
They can turn to me, their families can turn to me. I'm constantly sending pictures of them to their families.
It was stressful some days. It became overwhelming at times because at home, my loved ones as well that I could not see either. So I really poured my love into the ones that I took care of.
What makes me proudest of what I saw during the pandemic was how the team responded. We saw their passion. We saw their commitment to the mission of Wexner Heritage Village. We saw in the Jewish community in particular, agency executives reaching out to one another to offer assistance.
It's not an organization, it's a family. It's all about family here. It's all about protecting the residents. It's all about protecting each other.
I cried a lot. We all cried a lot for the families and for the ones that we took care of.
It's just part of my job. That's what we do. We want to make a difference.
I learned during the pandemic a lot about the people that work here, the people that put their effort every day and show their loyalty to the organization and to the residents.
I have never seen a greater sense of the word community than I did in the midst of the pandemic. It was incredibly uplifting. Words cannot express how deeply grateful we are to the entire community for their contributions, their well wishes, their offers of support. When the pandemic hit, this community stopped what they were doing, took their time to reach out to our residents, to our staff, offering cards, flowers, masks, pen pal letters, and even creating sidewalk chalk art and messages on the sidewalk out in front of Heritage House to encourage the team on their way into work. Those touches brought so much joy to our campus. I'd like to offer also a special thank you to families who entrusted this team with the care of their loved ones. We could not have gotten through this time without your support. Thank you. Additionally, I would like to thank the Jewish Community Agency executives who offered their counsel, their words of encouragement and collaboration. And this served as a huge lift for myself and for the team at WHV. Thanks to each of you. It would be difficult for me to recount the number of phone calls, off hours, weekends, during the day that the board members offered all of their counsel, all of their words of wisdom. And I especially today want to thank members of the operating committee that has been in operation for the past 3 years. Mark Yale, Ira Kane, Gary Rosenstein, Jerry Ellman, Keith Schuss, and Lisa Reyes. I also want to thank Gary Rosenstein for his leadership, his continued leadership, I should say, at WHV, for taking on the responsibility to lead the organization through a strategic planning process. We are truly excited as this opportunity continues to unfold in front of us. I would like to also express my gratitude to Ira Kane for his leadership over the past years and for taking over the reins as the incoming board chair at WHV. This entire team is truly excited for what's ahead and to support you and the entire board through this next phase of our history at WHV. Thank you. Lastly, before I hand this over to Mark Yale, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude. Mark has served this organization with excellence and passion during his term as board chair at WHV. I am grateful for the many things that I've learned from his example and his counsel. Mark, you have all of our admiration and profound respect. So well done. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for those kind words. It's been a privilege and enjoyed working with you and your team and the staff. And I'll have some words here in a couple of minutes about my term and my thoughts. But thank you and good afternoon to everyone. I have so many thoughts when looking back over the last year. While the challenges the organization has faced from the pandemic were unprecedented, it has reminded all of us, really more than any event could, of one of the most important aspects of WHV's mission. That is providing exceptional care for our community's most vulnerable. Accordingly, I want to thank the WHV leadership team, Chris, and the entire staff for their dedication and commitment to keeping our residents safe and healthy during these challenging times. The ability to work under the daily stress, the dangers since the pandemic started has been inspiring. And while the primary focus has been on taking care of our residents, the pandemic has created financial challenges for the organization. including rising costs in terms of COVID testing and investments in personal protective equipment, along with pressures on revenue from lower census. With positive advancements on the vaccine front beginning to lead to more normalcy from a referral and census perspective, we remain cautiously optimistic about improving revenue trends during the second half of the year. We just need to hold on until we get there. And the good news is that our current liquidity position, managed so well by our senior team, should provide us the necessary cushion to get us to the other side of the pandemic. And I do believe it's important to remember that pre-COVID, we were generating positive cash flow, and we look forward to getting back to that type of performance as soon as possible. While rightly focused over the last year on the pandemic and the health and safety of our staff and residents, we've continued to think about what's next for WHV, with solid progress being made during and with respect to the formal strategic planning initiative that Chris discussed. The goal here is simple: to ensure that the organization is in a position to thrive for many decades to come. In this regard, phase one of the planning is now complete, and we have what we believe is a financial sustainable vision for WHV, which includes transforming the organization from a primarily focused healthcare facility to one that provides a vibrant center for healthy living. This basically involves flipping the pyramid, with residential services serving as the base, while still providing the important healthcare services our community expects. I'm very pleased with where we are in the process, but now the heavy lifting really begins, as we need to come up with an executable plan to get this done. And the good news is that work is well underway. I want to personally thank Gary Rosenstein, who's chairing our strategic planning committee. He's done so much for this organization, and to take this this task on, deeply appreciative. And I also want to thank the rest of the group of committee members. It's a great group of individuals who make up the entire community, and really appreciate everything they've done to date. And as I said, there's still a tremendous amount of work going forward. Now, as the work progresses here, we are focused on ensuring that the right level of communication and engagement occurs with our staff and the broader community on this important initiative, so please stay tuned. Now, finally, when I think back over my term as board chair, I am truly grateful and humbled to be part of such an important organization that's making a difference within our community every day. I also want to thank and recognize the rest of our board for their support and commitment to WHV. Over the last 3 years, we've seen more than a few challenges, and I'm not sure how I would have made it through the term without this talented, hardworking group. In this regard, I would like to take a moment to thank Jerry Ellman, who served on the board and supported the organization in a variety of ways for many years. She's retiring from board life, and in recognition of all the great contributions she's made to the organization over the years, I'm pleased to name Jerry as a lifetime director of Wexner Heritage Village. Such a well-deserved honor. And we're truly grateful for her service. And Jerry, we will be presenting you with a gift in short order, thanking you all for your hard work and dedication to the organization. And I wish we all could be together in person to celebrate. And as I mentioned last time we talked, we're not going to let you off the hook too easy. And we look forward to you continuing your involvement with Wexner Heritage Village. You've always kept myself and the board on our toes. I mean that in a good way, and we'll always appreciate that guidance and counsel. One other individual that has gone beyond the call of duty for me and WHV has been Ira Kane. He's been a great partner, friend, and mentor, and I can't think of anyone better to step into the next board chair of Wexner Heritage Village. Just simply one of the smartest people I've had the pleasure to work with. The organization is truly fortunate to have him, and I'll know he will do a great job. So with that in mind, I will now turn the floor over to Ira. Thanks again for everything, and most importantly, thanks for your commitment to Wexner Heritage Village, and congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you, Mark, for your kind words. Rabbi Lefton, Chris, Jerry, members of the WHV team, residents and members of the community. You know, Mark, one judges a man by the content of his character. For 3 years now, beyond the regular chair's term, you have truly guided this organization through these extraordinary, challenging times. Through major changes in management, to confronting the complexities of the pandemic, to leading us to look ahead through the initiation of our ongoing strategic planning initiative. You, through your leadership, have demonstrated what leadership is really all about. It's about a keen understanding of the organization, the true sensitivity to the needs of our staff, and facilitating the articulation of an inspirational future vision around which we all now rally. It has indeed been a privilege to work with you and to count you as a friend as well. I look forward to your continued association with WHV, and in particular, your willingness to share your time and counsel as I assume the chair. To the WHV community, I am deeply aware of the honor which you have conferred on me, and I accept it with a full and grateful heart. I'd like to thank the Board of Trustees, the nominating committee, especially Kurt Malkoff, chair, and members of the Strategic Planning Committee, especially Gary Rosenstein, chair. I'm grateful for your tireless efforts on behalf of WHV and the trust you have placed in me. I pledge to you my full and dedicated efforts. For Chris and the dedicated team of WHV, thank you. My pledge to you to serve WHV at all times in a spirit of fidelity and commitment to the common good, always in accord with the purposes and principles of our mission and values. We have, over the past several months, engaged in a significant restructuring of the board. I wish to thank those members whose service has now ended, but whose commitment and contributions will never be forgotten. As for our new members, I welcome the opportunity to work with you as the heirs of this great organization and as authors of a new chapter in our history. For nearly 70 years, WHV has met the needs of our community. We've done so with a commitment to superior quality health care informed by Jewish values. With an unwavering commitment to our mission, the circumstances surrounding changing government regulation, community needs, and industry competitive factors has now necessitated the need for a bold, transformative strategy to directly meet the evolving challenges that we as an organization and community face. This is particularly relevant given that the number of people over the age of 65 in Central Ohio is set to double in the next 20 years to a staggering 1 in every 6 people. We must be ready. We will be ready. To our residents, thank you for the trust you have placed in us. We believe that our elders should not be treated as different species who are mainly of interest as objects of care. Care should be embedded in the life of persons with dignity in their own right. We have an obligation to you, indeed a covenant and responsibility to treat you not in static categories, but seeing you as socially engaged, vulnerable, yet unique individuals, ready to continue to live thoughtfully, worthily, a life filled with an aspirational incandescence, a life of dignity, meaning, purpose, and genuine human flourishing. This is our commitment to you. I fully understand the enormity of the challenges before us. However, I believe that WHV can be the preeminent organization of its kind in this country. And my goal, as audacious as it may sound, will be to set us on a path to make this true and realizable. This means, at the very least, ensuring that the organization remains accessible and affordable so that all can flourish within a culture of caring, of trust, of respect and belonging. It means nurturing and strengthening the resident experience. It means supporting and recruiting a talented and broadly diverse team across all of our disciplines and providing them with the resources they need. It means continuing to provide first-class quality health care. It means being a partner with our community and the broader community in fostering intergenerational and institutional connectivity. And it means taking some risks and not being afraid of failure. But it also means that we not only learn from our past, but we also and always keep our eyes on the future, recognizing that it is ours to shape, and shape we will. We stand at the threshold of a new era in healthcare, wellness, and longevity. These are challenging and exciting times. Carpe diem, I say, seize the day. And in so doing, we must invest in programs that drive innovation. We must invest in the community itself by identifying and creating communal spaces that contribute to good conversations, to the shared importance of ideas, and to building trust and comity as we conclude the development of a strategic plan that will bring bold and transformational changes to our current financial model, the landscape of our current campus, the reimagining of how we deliver and define healthcare and wellness services. Let us be dynamic and forward-thinking, not only distinctive, but distinguished, not only excellent, but extraordinary. For the history of WHV instructs us that when a great organization meets its challenges head on, with vision, courage, and integrity, it will flourish beyond measure. We're reminded of this because of countless gestures of hope and commitment made by the generations that preceded us. Thus, let us remain true to the authenticity of our mission and purpose, while at the same time to forge a new path of inquiry and the discovery of new opportunities. Let us raise the bar high and seek the most noble of our aspirations with common purpose and hope. For my hope for WHV is that we endure gloriously with a renewed sense of purpose and excitement for a meaningful and sustainable future, that we catalyze actionable solutions that will brighten the flame of hope in all of us, that there is truly dignity in aging and optimism for the future. Hopefully, we will all be together, truly together next year at Wexner. This ends our annual meeting. Thank you all for joining with us.
Thanks everyone for joining us today.